I'm Dr. Jennifer Guttman. Welcome to my new series, A Path to Sustainable Life Satisfaction. My mission is to use my experience and expertise to help you realize the kind of life satisfaction that's dependent on no one but you to sustain it. It's a theory that I have researched and developed from cognitive behavior therapy and refined over my 20 years of successful interaction with clients. I have created a blueprint that sees them self-reliant and effective in every area of their lives. They channel their strengths, not their weaknesses. They no longer look for approval outside of themselves. Instead, reinforcement comes from within. I help people master their lives by utilizing 6 empowering components that comprise my sustainable life satisfaction techniques. The first component is starting is easy, but closing is hard. Learning the importance of closing tasks, not just starting them. It's imperative to finish and close tasks. The second component is decision-making. Feeling confident in decision-making. Without fearing mistakes or ramifications improves self-confidence and in turn improves chances for closing. The third component is facing fears. Don't be afraid to be afraid. Use your fear as positive motivation to propel you to move forward. The fourth component is reduce people-pleasing behaviors. Avoid codependency and learn to live an authentic life without living in service of others. Watch people-pleasing behaviors which secure feelings of indispensability while averting fears of abandonment. The fifth component is avoiding assumptions. Avoid making assumptions about what other people think or feel about you. Your actions should be based on fact and not assumptions. Making decisions about how to proceed in a given situation based on guessing instead of facts is a dangerous exercise. The sixth component is active self-reinforcement, providing tangible reinforcement for closing or a job well done. Make a cognitive shift from aspiring and needing reinforcement and praise from others to be willing to accept self-praise. These techniques will assist you in believing in your personal effectiveness in the world, as well as give you a profound sense of personal control of outcomes. Today, there are too many people peddling happy, but happy is not sustainable. Happy is a dopamine push or a feeling predicated on something outside of yourself. This is unreliable, and the world think on this is not working. Satisfaction, however, is sustainable. Contentment is sustainable, and I'm going to show you how. My brand therapy is based on the precept that the majority of people do not have an inherent belief in their lovability, and it's crippling their lives. I know the struggles many of us face because I've been there, and I've found that no matter how successful a person is, if they don't feel inherently lovable, they are perpetually disappointing themselves. I was that person. I started out as someone extremely shy and insecure. I didn't believe I was the smart one. I didn't believe I was the capable one. And I certainly didn't believe that I was lovable. But I refused to fuel my disappointment, and as a result, I became defiantly resilient. Everything that life threw at me, I tossed it back. I dealt with adversity and rejections head on by learning how to differentiate between what was working and what was not. Now, I know if you're motivated. You are the only tool necessary because you are the change agent. The first important component in my brand strategy involves learning to become a closer. Have you ever wondered if you're a starter or a closer? Over the years, people have asked me what are my pet peeves, and I'm honest with them. I have trouble when people don't follow through with what they say they're going to do. I admire people that say that they're going to do something and then do it. They're what I like to call closers. At an early age, I became aware that both my grandmother and my father completed each task that was given to them. I recognized that this trait brought each one of them some degree of pride. It became a trait that I really wanted to emulate. I found myself becoming impatient with people who didn't follow through. I wondered whether people who don't follow through felt that same impatience with themselves. Doing what you say you're going to do is not easy for anyone. As someone who works hard to practice what she preaches, I work hard to complete tasks, and I remind myself that I always feel better when I complete more tasks than when I start more and complete less. I feel more confident when I know I can rely on myself to follow through on what I've promised myself I'm going to do, and that others can rely on me for the same. Starting is easy, but closing is hard. It's not surprising that starting is the easy part, right? Have you wondered why? Well, starting is fun and exciting. Starting only seems challenging. Why is closing so really hard? Closing it's boring, and it requires accountability and work and organizational skills. However, with the challenge comes a sense of effectiveness at having been able to conquer the mundane stuff, not just the fun. And I can tell you that that feeling of self-efficacy develops into self-confidence and self-respect, and it's priceless. Now, have you figured out yet if you're a starter or a closer? If you haven't, that's okay. A lot of people don't know. And here's why. As children and as adolescents, we are reinforced by our parents for our creative ideas. This reinforcement is enough to make the actual execution of the idea seem unnecessary. Our parents also reinforce us for project progress. This support serves as enough reinforcement so that when the process becomes too boring, it's easy to abandon it. As adults, the adrenaline rush we get from dreaming about a project feels great. We've all felt that experience of sitting around a table with friends, scheming about the next billion-dollar idea, right? Mostly the dreaming ends around that table, because acting on the fantasy is so much harder than the table talk. I don't want you to settle for the rush of being a starter. I want you to be determined to become a closer. Let's start with a few examples, like following through on a plan you made with yourself to exercise, let's say 3 times a week. Telling someone you'll call at a certain time and actually following through. In each of these examples, you're doing it because it will make you feel better about yourself. So here's a few points on how to be the most successful at this. Do not move too quickly to the next enticing project. Complete those last pesky details from the last one. Focus on the goal, which is actually closing. Keep telling yourself to slow down, even though it's so exciting to move on. Effective closing is a stepping stone in developing a feeling of effectiveness in the world. It's about committing to keep your life in order and honoring your word. And what you'll find is as your self-reliance grows, so will your feelings of confidence. Yes, it requires patience. Yes, it will change the way you think. But once you buy into it, it's amazing and your whole world starts to change. That's when the penny will drop. Don't delay it. Hold yourself accountable. And close. You got this.